Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack.
And today we have another fine episode for you. Actually, we don't. We have an episode that's allegedly not good because we've been watching some good episodes lately.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we're going into it
genuinely
blind.
surprised either way sometimes. So.
I have no idea what this episode is about.
I've never seen it. I don't know what it's about.
Yeah,
I'm assuming video games, but it could be any kind of game.
Right. Well, it's season 18.
I don't even know if it's Marge Simpson.
It's Marge Gamer. It could be a different Marge. That would actually be very interesting if it was.
It's just about my Aunt Marge. I can't think of another Marge besides.
It would be
Aunt Marge.
really funny if the show opened and it's just the Simpsons are sitting in the living room just like watching TV, and then it like whip pans over to another family and there's another Marge and she becomes a gamer.
Maybe they'll do that when this cast also quits along with Harry Shearer.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to be watching Marge Gamer.
Suggested by who?
Suggested by listener Dan Dennis.
All right.
No, Dan
Thank you,
from
maybe Dan.
Our Facebook page. He's very active there, so thanks, Dan, for suggesting this. Maybe, unless we hate it.
In which case, you son of a bitch.
In which case, you son of a bitch.
But also thank you.
But also thank you. And hey, guys, go to wepodcast.com. That's our website, where you can get show notes, where you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and all sorts of good stuff. And if you want to be like Mr. Dan Dennis, you can suggest an episode on our website, wepodcast.com.
Yeah, you made a handy dandy little form. So.
Oh, yeah, I did. It's so much easier, and it really helps us out.
It's way more efficient than the way you guys used to do it by shouting outside our apartments.
Yeah. Or drunkenly telling us things at trivia.
Do the rag one.
From the bus stop by Wii Studios. Have you ever seen Marge Gamer? You've never seen it, right?
No, I've never seen it. Don't know.
That's a leading question.
I mean, maybe I have seen it.
I don't know. I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
It's a Popeyes.
One of those episodes.
We'll never finish because we didn't eat spinach. We had Popeyes the chicken.
Man.
No, I haven't seen it. I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
No, I have never seen this one. I don't know if I've seen any episodes from season 18, aside from whatever episode we've done already. I think
at least one, yeah.
The grandpa one was from season 18. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break right now, and we are going to watch Marge Gamer. If you haven't seen it yet, you should do that. You can go to simpsonsworld.com and see it. I had a recent discussion on our Twitter. Our European listeners, of which we have many, and they are vocal.
As opposed to the ones who were pooping. Sorry.
Jesus.
Oh, boy.
One of those podcasts. They're
all one of those.
Our European listeners, let me know on Twitter that Simpsons World actually is not a thing in Europe.
Oh, that's something.
And our UK listeners,
thank you for
Australian listeners, that's not Europe, but I think it's also not there.
Oh, I'm glad they still listen to the show. Very nice, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Konnichiwa. That's right. That's what they say in the UK. They say arrivederci. So you can't watch it on Simpsons World, but I'm sure you can figure out a way. And we're gonna watch it on Simpsons World.
Yeah, I'm sure in Europe they're loose with the pirate laws. I know you could show butts on network television and stuff like that. So maybe you can.
Yeah, everyone knows that the UK, their pirate and butt laws are very lax.
I'm sorry, Europe. I had Popeyes. I didn't mean it. It's one of those.
You're a poopin'.
You don't even.
You're a poopin'.
If you want to know what that means, listen to the 48 minutes of deleted scenes that we're gonna most certainly have from the introduction of this episode.
All of this is going to be deleted. With the actual episode is just going to be like, hey, everybody, we're watching Marge Gamer. I don't even know whose voice it's going to be. Just like some strange voice.
Maybe I'll edit it so that it's literally just that right now. I'll just say, hey, everybody, and then that.
We're watching Marge Gamer. Okay, so we are going to watch Marge Gamer. We're going to take a break. We will be right back, and we'll see you guys then.
Hi, Bart. It's your mom. I'm in your video game with you. What? My Millhouse. Don't you look pretty? It's a spell. And thank you. Mom, what are you doing in my game? How would you like it if I suddenly started going shopping with you? I like that very much.
So, that was Season 18's Marge Gamer.
It sure was.
Apparently I have seen it. I'm noticing a trend where I don't remember and I go, oh, I've never seen this one. And
you
then
just blocked it out of your memory.
Whether either I blocked it out or it's just not leaving an impression, one or the other.
I find that pretty hard to believe with this episode.
It's an amazing thing. So right off the bat, let's just talk about what it's about.
Yes.
Marge discovers the internet and in turn discovers online gaming, gets hooked up on a World of Warcraft-type game. Along with the rest of Springfield, she also finds out that Bart is the villain of the game and that it is killing all the people.
Yep.
The video game jerk, whatever the term is for that. But she moms him in the game. Eventually the townspeople kill him, but then she seeks revenge, right? Or they never really
something like that. It kind of peters out.
I guess they don't really do anything with that. There's also a substantial B plot about where Lisa's playing soccer and Homer is the ref for the kids' soccer league.
Right.
Lisa and Homer have a falling out because he eventually throws her out of the game for what's the term where you fake
injury.
They said it
know.
in the episode.
Flopping, slapping.
We should have had Jeff on this episode.
Slippity-sloppiting. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. We're slippity-sloppiting. I know that much.
We're clearly not big soccer fans here at
No.
We Studios with our flippity-floppity terms.
It was slippity-sloppity.
Slippity-sloppity. Flippity-floppity is when you're on defense.
Yeah, of course.
I can't think of it. Anyway, so Homer and Lisa have a falling out, and then eventually everybody makes nice.
Yeah.
So let's get the Stampy out of the room before we start.
Let's do it. What do we got? Is it Ronaldo?
There's an episode. I guess there's lots of elephants in the room.
Why are there so many elephants in this room?
Oh, Jesus. I was going to say, it's like Noah's Ark in here, but there's only 2 elephants on Noah's Ark.
It's a Noah's Ark of just elephants.
Just elephants. Fuck all the other animals.
2 of every type. Well, they can't because they're only elephants.
2 of all the elephants.
What if there was a guy who was really into elephants and Noah's like, I gotta get all the animals, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll get the elephants, Noah. I'll just get the elephants. And he just has an elephant ark, and that one sunk.
That one sunk because it's too heavy. There's too many elephants.
Too many elephants.
elephants.
Why are there so many elephants? What are you doing, Jacoby?
That's from not this episode. That is from something we recorded that won't
far
air
future.
for months and months. Goodness gracious.
Too many elephants.
Yeah, no, not any of those elephants. No, so South Park did an episode very famously called "The Simpsons Did It." I don't know when. I can't think off the top of my head.
That was probably
early 2000s.
Mid-2000s, I think.
Really? That late? Anyway, so Simpsons did it. A very famous South Park episode with Butters. And the joke is that The Simpsons had been running so long, which is funny because at the time it was not even half of where it is now.
Yeah, it was,
But The Simpsons was running on so long that they've used up all the stories. And what I've noticed a few times now is that The Simpsons is doing a story that South Park did first. South Park did it, basically.
Yeah.
So, and that includes this episode, which is basically a big World of Warcraft parody. And once again, South Park, to be honest, did it better.
Did it much better.
The irony.
The South Park Warcraft episode is an excellent episode of South Park. If you don't normally watch South Park and you were like, oh, if you're a big gamer and you don't watch South Park and you've never seen that episode, you should. It's a good one. It's on Hulu.
I was going to make it really long, extended joke. It sounded like you said a big gay mare, and mare is French for sea. So I was just picturing this French ocean that's like, ooh la la, ooh, I'm so gay.
So I said a big gamer, and you got a big gay mare. And you, instead of the horse mare, you went with the French word for the sea.
It's the obvious mare. So I just thought that was an interesting point to make.
It was. I mean, this episode was also just kind of half an episode about gaming. There's you mentioned it, that the B plot was pretty substantial. This episode kind of just splits, and it's almost like 2 A plots.
Yeah, and it's very
odd.
It's almost like 2 A plots. If you were to call it a B plot, that's fine too. It's not even that substantial. It's pretty normal for a B plot. The reason I said substantial and it feels substantial, I think, is because it came so late. Where at that, I was like, oh man, they're really shoehorning this in, and I guess I thought it was going to be either really short or just a scene.
Yeah.
But I guess it wasn't that late in the episode, or it just felt late in the episode.
So let's bring this up now. I was going to bring this up later. It just happens very suddenly. Like,
Yeah.
so Marge freaks out because she doesn't have email, and then she gets a computer. She's playing the game, and that's like building that story, and it all makes sense. It's very A to B to C. It makes sense. And then it's just Homer's walking by Lisa's room, and Lisa is dressed for soccer, and she's putting on her shin guards.
Right. Like, they really wanted to get the Marge story going before they brought this in, rather than bring it in and let them both develop parallel.
Right, but then the Lisa story, it's just there. There's no setup at all. It's just suddenly Lisa's super into soccer.
It's not a terrible plot. I mean, obviously, like most of the episodes we covered, the execution's pretty crappy.
Yes.
It's not a terrible plot, but yeah, the way they introduce it is pretty terrible. Like, they do it with a quick flashback to Lisa watching Bend It Like Beckham.
In a scene that had no jokes.
Yeah,
it was just like, we were watching Bend It Like Beckham, and it's a very straightforward Bend It Like Beckham parody.
And there is a joke in it about how, like, about arranged marriage and how it's kind of ridiculous. And then Apu stands up and defends it in the way that the girls defend the girl in Bend It Like Beckham's independence.
Her independence, yeah.
So that they're basically all the jokes are this one joke about arranged marriage, which they did a lot more artfully
in an entire episode about arranged marriage
when Apu gets married.
Yeah.
So it was really weird to see that, and like you said, it just.
There was no setup at all. Like, why is this important to Lisa? It's not. It's just all of a sudden, I'm playing soccer.
They couldn't have set this. We're jumping around a little bit, but I think right now let's just talk about the B plot.
Yeah.
But they opened up the episode with a PTA meeting, and we'll get into it later. But they opened the episode up with a PTA meeting. That seems like a perfect place you could introduce this children's soccer league.
Seed in the soccer somehow.
Just a little something.
Like, they're gonna cut the soccer team, and like they have to win the championship in order to not get their funding cut or something like that.
They need one more person to sign up, and Lisa has to do it, who's normally hates athletics, and she has to do it because the soccer and the math team both have the money tied together.
Anything like that. Yeah. Just something.
Good thing we invented the something or other.
Yeah. Thank God we invented the something or other.
Yeah. Just a line like that, but you had the PTA scene, so it couldn't have been that hard.
It would have been very easy to
and then even if you waited 2, 3, 4, 5 scenes, I feel like it felt longer than it actually was. But even if you waited until the exact same point to then bring in Lisa's soccer thing, pretty much out of nowhere. Just having that one seed makes it mostly better.
Yeah, I agree.
You just go, oh yeah, that's right.
Because it just came in, Lisa's characterization is that she is a big nerd. And like we've seen her play hockey in that one episode about hockey that was very similar to kind of what was going on with the Homer dynamic.
Yeah.
But she's not a sports person.
She's terrible at sports.
And it's like suddenly she's good at soccer and it's super important to her. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So why don't we just get the B plot out of the way while we're on it?
We'll just hold the whole soccer thing.
Let's do something we haven't done here in Wii Studios and try for some coherence.
Oh, okay.
The character that got away.
Did someone say characters? I'm here.
No. We're trying coherence this week. Sorry, Dan Hadalek.
Bully for you. I'll sadly roll out of here.
And roll out he did.
Beep. Beep, beep,
truck.
Beep. I have a wide bottom. I'm very sensitive about it.
So there's two children Springfieldians I wanted to mention that are in the soccer games that we see.
Yep.
One is Krusty's daughter.
Yes.
Who I think Drew Barrymore
voiced her. I saw that one once. I remember it being a dreadful episode.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's been suggested, so we're going to be watching it at some point.
So she doesn't talk or anything, and I think she looked different. I don't think she looked as Krusty-esque. She had the hair. And then I guess the reason she's there is, there's two reasons I'm guessing. One is they need girl characters, and they don't have that many.
There's not that many.
You got Sherry and Terry and Lisa and Janie. And that's about it, unless Allison is still around. Sometimes
they do animate Allison into things.
So anyway, you have Krusty's daughter, but the second reason would be Krusty is the ref or the coach, I guess, it doesn't seem like you would see Krusty.
Yeah,
I guess
true.
I guess it's because there's no other B characters, secondary characters that have a daughter. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're not
that's a good point.
Use Terry and Sherry's or Janie's dad. So I guess they had this.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's why Krusty's daughter was there, because they needed Krusty. They're like, who do we have that has a daughter?
Yeah, get more good father-daughter pairings, you bozos.
Hibbert has a couple of daughters. He
does.
He would have been better in that role. He would have been fine in that role.
He would have been good.
Anyway, so you have Krusty's daughter, and then you have Jessica Lovejoy.
Yes.
Who was originally played by Meryl Streep.
I was surprised they didn't get Meryl back.
Yeah.
Just to voice
I don't
like
think
one
she's
line.
acting anymore. I think.
Oh, that's true. She did famously retire from acting.
Yeah.
After she spat in Lisa's face last week.
Yeah, so obviously there's no voice there either. You don't have Drew Barrymore, you don't have Meryl Streep.
Right.
It's just kind of jarring though to see her because not to mention that she's not ever in the show ever, and she went back to boarding school. Whatever.
Pretty rarely on.
But she had a very dynamic relationship
episode.
with Bart, and obviously every Simpsons episode goes back to status quo, so it's not that big of a deal. But I thought it was worth mentioning that Jessica Lovejoy is there.
Yeah, it was and not even Krusty's daughter was there, kind of in the background, but Jessica Lovejoy was a major part of
gave her
the
a
B
scene,
plot.
yeah.
She had a scene. Helen Lovejoy and Reverend
that's
Timothy
right.
Lovejoy
You're right.
had a whole bit yelling at Homer.
That's the other thing. So I guess maybe this also ties into the fact that there's just no Springfield secondary characters with daughters to use. But Tim and Helen did seem like an interesting choice to have be the token soccer mom and soccer dad. Like they get in a fight with the ref. Those asshole parents that like could just ruin the game for everybody. I guess it's because there's nobody else to have, and Sarah Lovejoy was a good pick.
Yeah.
But it just seemed I mean, Helen is kind of a B, so I guess she does fit the role. But I don't know. It's a little.
You know who else is kind of a B? Bumblebee Man.
He is a kind of a B. He's literally kind of a B.
That's right. Too many elephants.
Too many trunks.
Sorry, I completely derailed your point.
No, I mean
Helen Lovejoy.
I don't know. What did you think of the Helen Lovejoy scene with Homer?
It was fine.
They actually do make a good. I guess they're both such loud and like assholes, like Homer and jerk-ass Homer and Helen Lovejoy. They do kind of play off each other well in a conflict and an argument.
Yeah, that's true, because Helen Lovejoy is, think of the children and very
Reverend Lovejoy
gossipy.
was trying to deflate the situation a little with the don't use the J-bomb. I
Right.
guess they were a good choice for the scene.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. They're one of the many colors in the palette of Springfield.
Her voice was definitely seemed off.
I was. So Maggie Roswell. Yeah, I was just looking this up. Maggie Roswell, who does the voice of Helen Lovejoy, left the show at one point over a pay dispute, and she also did the voice of Maude Flanders, and they killed off Maude because of that reason.
Yeah, it was weird. They decided to kill off one of the characters, even though she did several.
Yeah, so you mentioned that she sounded a little bit off in this episode, and I thought maybe it was because it was in there, but I actually don't think that it was.
Yeah, because she came back by season 18, I would think.
Yeah, I think it was just a few seasons that she was out.
Gone. Though you got to give the Simpsons credit for all the awful, horrible things they've done. It was nice that they never brought Maude back. It seems like that's something that...
Well, I don't know how they could. They brought her back as a ghost, I feel like, in a Halloween episode.
Yeah, I'm sure they could do that, but I don't know.
The Simpsons tapped out.
You have Armin Tanzarian, you have that 90s show. Honestly, like, if they brought Maude back, if they found a really bad way to do it, I bet you they would.
It would actually be kind of funny if they did
was
the
in a
South Park
coma.
route. Speaking of the Simpsons and South Park doing each other, that didn't sound right.
I'd watch that.
I'm sure on the internet you can find that in a lot of places, right behind the Marge Playboy thing. But no,
We're right on top.
there was. Oh Jesus!
Too many elephants.
There was. I completely forgot what I was going to say. No, there was a season or two of South Park where Kenny was dead. Do you remember this?
Right,
and they
right,
replaced him with Butters. And at the very end of the season, they were just like, "Oh, hey, Kenny," and Kenny was back.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny if just like Flanders all of a sudden was just like, "Oh, hi, Maude."
Yeah, South Park gets away with it a little bit better. They're great with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, South Park, was always killing a character and having him come back every day.
We've talked about South Park here and there, and it's obviously a completely different beast from The Simpsons because it has less episodes and for other reasons. But I just want to talk about one real quick thing that's great about how the show can grow. Remember Mr. Garrison had Mr. Hat,
Right.
then he had Mr. Stick.
Yeah,
then
Mr. Twig.
Yeah, Mr. Twig. Then Mr. Hat came back.
Yeah.
Then he became Mrs. Garrison, and now he's just Mr. Garrison, and there's pretty much no gimmick. He's just, but he's still a great character.
Yeah.
I just love like the fact that they're fine with that. They're like, look, we don't have to do the gimmick anymore. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's like they're okay with switching it up.
They are not afraid to evolve, and sometimes
Yes,
I think
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you left out Mr. Slave also, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Can't forget Mr.
Can't
Slave.
forget Mr. Slave. Tiddlywinks.
Home of it's Lemmy Winks, you son of a bitch. Tiddlywinks. That's an elephant who was on the boat and drowned. Is that even going to be in this episode? I don't know. It'll probably be in the deleted scenes. This whole thing's going in the garbage file soon.
So there's a couple of funny one-liners and a couple of bad one-liners in the soccer scenes that I liked. One Homer line I liked is he like ejects a girl's father, or he kicks him, or does something, and the girl goes, "That was my father," and Homer just goes, "I'm your father now."
Yeah,
I like that was just nice, like a little more surreal.
right.
Like,
Homer like drunk with power, I guess, as the referee.
I
Was,
like
that. Was
that,
funny.
but then right after that was an awful joke I hated, which was a Mia Hamm parody.
Yes. I couldn't think of her name. Yeah,
yeah,
Homer
where-
like rips off his shirt and has a sports bra underneath, and he rips off that too, like the famous Mia Hamm after they won the game.
I mean, that was. I remember that was like our sophomore year, freshman year when they won the game, when she won and she did that famous thing.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody under the sun parodied that moment. Like I know it was a big moment. It's probably going to be down, with like Down Goes Frasier and like iconic sports moments. But
Fraser Crane from Cheers.
of course, but God, that got done to death. I remember Mike O'Malley did it in a promo for his Mike O'Malley Show sitcom that lasted 2 episodes.
Wow. Why? Not only do I not remember the Mike O'Malley Show, I definitely don't remember the promo that parodied Mia Hamm.
I remember specifically we were in sophomore guidance in the music room in high school, and we were like coming up with ideas for a video we were gonna make.
Okay.
And I go, what if we do like a Mia Hamm parody like Mike O'Malley did in the Mike O'Malley Show promo? And everybody like gave me looks, and I looked to you because I knew you would get it, and you were like, you gave me like this like nodding your head look, like you got it, you remembered at the time, but you like nobody else knows what you're talking about, and you were just like nodding your head at me like,
wow, I don't remember that at all. That's funny.
I clearly it made its mark.
You shamed yourself.
Yeah, all these
in front of everyone
high
but
school
me.
moments where I just turned on everybody, or everybody turned on me.
Yeah, there were many.
So I didn't like that, and then I never thought The Simpsons would do a joke about swallowing your whistle that I didn't like. But
I don't even remember this.
Yeah,
what happened?
Homer swallows his whistle. He says
that makes sense.
He says, "Oh, I swallowed my whistle," and then later he's like at the end of the scene he sighs and there's like a whistling that comes out of his mouth throat.
I don't remember it at all.
It was just like it wasn't. There was no. I don't know, like the concept is kind of funny, but there was like no oomph behind it. It was just kind of there, and it's just in stark contrast to the great delivery by the gym teacher in the hockey episode where she goes, "I don't need this. I swallowed my favorite whistle today," and like
that's how you do a whistle swallow joke.
Yeah, so it's just that's how you do a whistle joke, and that's how you not do a whistle joke. So I just thought, like, why bother? Why do a joke you already nailed? And
right.
Let's talk Ronaldo.
Yes, that was one of the elephants in the room that I thought you would be referring to.
It's definitely one of those special guest stars that feel really forced in. I mean, he literally just appears, and then we never find out why. At least like when Robert Goulet showed up, like they pick him up from the airport, and he's going somewhere else.
Well, he says he comes in, and he's like, after I won whatever Ronaldo won, I don't care about soccer. He says now
he's anti.
Flippity-floppity, whatever the hell the actual word was. He does that, so he goes around to children's soccer games, stopping people from fake falling.
I mean, it's a classic post-classic. It's a classic post-classic special guest where they really just show up because Homer literally goes, "Wow, it's 2-time World Cup winning, blah blah blah." And like you would know that. You literally, in like the scene before, said you've called soccer human foosball.
Exactly.
You don't know who Ronaldo is.
Human foosball is pretty funny.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. But it's just that it was such a cringeworthy like Homer introducing him and ugh.
It was very much like, wow, it's Tim Conway, like from the Simpsons spin-off Showcase.
Exactly.
Like, they've become self-parody at this point.
Not just Ronaldo. They've done it a lot, especially in
tons of
this
guest
era
stars.
too. So him being there was bad, shoehorned in.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
And Ronaldo is an athlete, not an actor, but his performance in this episode was terrible.
Yeah, so I mean
he sounded as stiff and awkward as Stephen Hawking's robot voice.
Yeah, like English is clearly his second language.
Yeah.
He sounded almost muted in the booth, like his volume was low.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was just very stiff and awkward. A lot of the lines they gave him weren't great, so it was just bad. It was just bad.
It was just
a bad guest star. Although there are a couple lines to his credit that he delivered, and it's like they were written and he delivered in a kind of surreal way that it just kind of worked. It was surreal might not be the best word. I've been using that word, but almost like in that Adult Swim kind of. wacky, absurdist. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. In that, like, there were a couple of great Ronaldo absurdist lines.
Yeah. Well, my favorite line that he had was at the end, Homer is kind of pretty good balancing the soccer ball, kicking it back and forth between his knees and his feet. And Ronaldo says, haha, I taught him well. And then he has a thought and he just goes, too well.
And like the animation on his face with like, I guess he has buck teeth. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, no, the too well was great. That was my second.
That was my favorite.
That was tied for my favorite line. There was another great line too where where Homer and Lisa have a falling out, which I want to talk about real quick.
Oh, yeah.
But he goes, another family broken up by Ronaldo. Like, I don't know if in editing they put in that dramatic pause between, but like,
right.
If they didn't, the delivery was perfect.
They probably spliced together a bunch of takes to make it the best possible way.
Like,
another great day by Ronaldo.
That's how we do the podcast.
Like right here, that was a 10-minute cut. It was seamless.
We talked about Lethal Weapon 3 for 10 minutes.
I've never seen Lethal Weapon 3, actually.
That's good. It's the weakest entry, but, well, it's you can argue Lethal Weapon. Anyway.
I save that for the Lethal Weapon cast.
Yeah, of course.
I'm too old for this pod.
I like it. They fuck you at the podcast. They fuck you. They fuck you. They fuck you in the podcast. No, and I also like
Dip Podmatic immunity. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to the bus stop.
What's her face? Brandine says, listen to Geraldo. I like that. I liked her calling Ronaldo Geraldo.
Speaking of Brandine and Cletus, there was one just really stupid line, but it did get me, where Cletus is getting in Homer's face because Homer throws out Hemuses. What the hell is Hemus?
I don't know what a Hemus is, but I don't like it. It sounds awful.
It's me, Hemus!
No.
Are you ready for Hemus?
No, we are not ready for Hemus. It's too soon. It's too soon.
All right, I'll be back in a few weeks. It's Hemus. That's all I say.
And like, the joke last week was that I said, all right, we're not turning Little Ghost Girl into a thing. And then that became a joke in itself and she became a thing.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out a way to not make Hemus a thing. But I don't want my not making Hemus a thing become a thing, because then by extension Hemus becomes a thing. I don't want that to happen. So I don't know what to do. I could ignore you, but it's going to be awkward because we're sitting 2 feet from each other and staring.
Are you talking about Hemus? Hemus is my best friend.
And like, I could move on to my next point, but you were making the point. So
Are you the one who murdered this little girl? It's Hemus.
So I can't even move on because you have to finish your point first. You're the one you're interrupting your own point with Hemus.
I don't know what you are referring. My point originally was what the hell is this? What is this? What is this show?
We finally got our old prospector character.
You darn tootin' you did, it's Hemus.
Are you the elephant caretaker?
Yep. My boat went down, but now I'm prospecting. It's Hemus.
I just want to go on record and say I wanted to talk about. I know I bring up my childhood a lot.
I can't help myself. I'm sorry. It's tough.
It took a lot of restraint for me to get into a long diatribe about how Lethal Weapon 3 and Lethal Weapon 4 are two completely different movies and lesser in their own way, lesser sequels in their own ways.
Yeah.
But I showed restraint.
Well, I don't have that restraint, or at least Hemus doesn't. I'm not Hemus, obviously. Hemus is out at the bus stop now.
It's me, Shemus!
Shemus? What are you doing here, you old coon? It's Hemus!
Who are you calling?
Hemus, you lost the ability to talk. Good golly, it's Hemus. Where's my old buddy Grufik? Get his sorry ass out here. It's Hemus.
Oh, right, here I am.
Now the whole gang is here.
Don't forget Jerry Van Dalen.
Is that my... What the fuck is happening? I can't even continue this.
And old Dracula fingers.
This is supposed to be a podcast about the Simpsons, and it's just turned into this cavalcade of nonsense.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I'm here.
Hey
it's
guys,
me.
I'm here.
And me, Nick Noga.
Somebody.
Pop, 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 pop.
What the fuck?
All right. Got that out of our systems. You were making a point about you liked the scene with Cletus and Brandine.
Yeah, so Cletus, Homer throws out Cletus and Brandine's kid, and Cletus comes over, and he's indignant that Homer has said that they were a dirty player, and that whole thing didn't work for me, really. But then Cletus says, or Homer says, I don't have to take this from a hillbilly, and Cletus goes, it's Hill William to you.
Nah.
It wasn't so much funny as cute. It was like, oh, I see what you did there. That's interesting.
I saw what they did there.
That was my whole point. I didn't mean to.
All right, so the B plot, like I said, it wasn't executed great, and Ronaldo's not the best, but it's an interesting story. And like you said, they've done some of it with Lisa on Ice, where she gets really into sports. But what I liked about this one was, she realizes that Homer is drunk with power, and rather than like call him out on it and be the conscience,
Lisa. She's the one.
Yeah, and like she actually gets drunk on power by association, and she's trying to call a bad foul, and because she knows that Homer will take her side.
She realizes he's in a position of power. She can use that to her advantage. It's a lot more Machiavellian than Lisa
and it's a great
is.
Lisa plot that's in character. It fits her, but it's also one we haven't seen done to death in all of the Lisa episodes we've done.
Yeah,
but I was shocked. I thought it was going to become a thing where they like team up, or even if Homer's unaware, she's doing it all the time. But it really starts and stops at this one foul where then Homer is convinced by Cletus, I guess, to give her the yellow card and then eject her out of the game.
You're right.
And it's just kind of I was really disappointed because, like I said, it's a great Lisa story we haven't seen, and it's not a story; it's a scene.
Yeah, they didn't do enough with it at all. It was a good idea though. I liked where it was going. Like, we never see this kind of
like that should have been the first
manipulative side of Lisa, which makes sense because she's smart enough to be able to do that kind of stuff. But no, it's just that she does it a few times with the foul. I think there was a montage even of Homer doing ref stuff.
I think I think the montage was before that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all in one scene where she fakes the foul, and then the Cletus complains. I mean, the Lovejoys complain. Then Cletus complains, and then Homer changes. I was like, wait, he changes his mind? Why is he?
Right, he gives Lisa a yellow card, so she's out of the game, and then she's all upset at him.
Like Homer changes his mind pretty much. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. This, it was wrong of me to give it. It was really weird.
Yeah, it is really weird.
Yeah,
it was not well done because Homer's not usually that smart.
Yeah,
and
it should have been like
she
was getting away with it, and now all the teammates hate her, all the parents see it, but Homer's clueless, maybe.
Right. There should be some way where like Homer sees it. Like if you were stretching this out into an A plot for an episode, and I kind of wonder if it was supposed to be, and they just kind of schmoved it together.
Schmoved it,
it's not a word.
It is now.
They schmoved it into another episode plot that wasn't working to kind of cobble together this Frankenstein episode.
Right.
Because that is what it feels like, because these two episode plots have nothing to do with one another.
It's such a bummer. It could have been such a good A plot, or at least even a B plot, but it would be. It's basically a reverse of when Lisa is picking the winners in the football. Where Homer is using Lisa. It's under the pretext of bonding.
That's exactly right.
But he's using her to make money.
Right.
This would have been great if it was in reverse, where Homer thinks he's having this great daddy-daughter thing. He's reffing soccer. He thinks he's doing a good job.
But really...
And Lisa is really... And then he finds out, he realizes Lisa isn't enjoying the bonding. She's pretty much at this
she's
point...
using him to win soccer games.
And that breaks his heart, and that's when he gives her a yellow card or red card, and that's when they have their falling out. That would have been great.
At the emotional denouement.
Yeah, exactly. And because the character... It fits to both characters. It's nice to see Homer be good for once and have a soul, which we know he's had. We've seen it. Yeah. And it really would have been great, like turning it would just it's just such a bummer that they really like blew a really easy, like, it's the same thing with the PTA opening. It was one beat away from getting it right. Like they just unbehooved it. What is it? Unschmooved it.
Unschmooved it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like if you think of this episode as like an erector set almost. They're just like not tightening the screws enough.
Yeah, so it's just a bummer. It just bums me out that
because
that would have been such a cool and they do come back to it at the end where Lisa apologizes to Homer, like, Homer's like, please
Right.
forgive me. And she's like, I don't forgive you. There's nothing to forgive. I
Right.
was wrong.
I was totally in the wrong.
And that was great, except,
That was a good payoff to an episode that didn't happen.
to this one yellow card you got, or this one
Right.
red card eventually.
If
So
this had been a more polished episode, like, it was a great idea. They were just like 2 or 3 steps away from making it a great execution of a great idea.
And maybe it would be hard to do in the limited time as a B plot, but like we said, there was a montage earlier. What if they moved the montage up and had the montage be after Lisa makes this decision to, you could have cut out a lot of the shitty Homer ref stuff, just made him a competent ref off the bat. It's like, oh, I'm having fun, like telling people what to do and bossing parents around.
Yeah.
This is perfect for
That's
me.
totally
so then
Homer's wheelhouse.
so Homer is a good ref. That's that. You cut out all the crap where he's a shitty ref and he's like joining the game and like kicking goals and all these jerk ass things.
Yeah.
You cut all that out. You bump up Lisa's turncoat earlier, and then you fill that space up with this developing this daddy-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
With the reverse gambling.
Yeah, I mean, both of these plots, I realize we haven't talked about the main plot yet, but both of them were about family bonding, like parent-child bonding relationships over different types of games, I guess.
Yeah.
So they sort of made sense together, but they never intertwined in any way, and it was just like, why is this story the B plot? Like, there's a lot of meat here that could have been the A plot, and there's not so much meat in the Marge Bart plot.
Yeah, I was really surprised at near the. I was going to wait to talk to this later, but I was really surprised near the end when both parents, both Homer and Marge, have their falling out with Bart and Lisa roughly at the same time.
Yeah.
And they both show up at the house together, and Marge is mad at Bart. Marge's mad at Bart, and Homer and Lisa. Lisa's mad at Homer. The women are mad at the men.
Yes.
And I was just like surprised. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize these two plots had so much in common, and now now that it's in my face, it makes sense.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. That's the only time it really came together. And then Homer and Bart go to Moe's. Are we getting ahead of ourselves?
We're getting ahead of ourselves now, but is there anything else we want to say about the whole soccer thing? It was weird, like, how did that documentary... Okay, so Homer...
Oh, I did want to talk about that.
Homer, to kind of make up for doing the right thing but making Lisa mad at him, gets her a documentary, a BBC with Canal Plus documentary about soccer, about a soccer riot that's been going on for 21 years. We'll talk about the content of the documentary in a second, but nothing in it really made sense to be like, oh, I shouldn't have been a jerk to my father. It was just like, soccer is violent.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
exactly.
didn't make any sense that this would cause an epiphany in Lisa.
I guess it's because it was schmooved together.
It was just schmooved.
Because, the intro was shortened. The actual crux of the, it should have been expanded over a season of games. That was
Right.
And then I guess that just goes along with the the same as the Lady Gaga and the one where Lisa makes best friends with Emily Blunt, where there really is no turning point. She just kind of changes her mind.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this is the time when that's supposed to happen?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
then that's going to happen.
So that it was bad, but it seems to be the same problem that's emblematic. It seems to be the
Either
same.
way.
It seems to be the same problem as with the intro and the body, where they just kind of just cut all the corners and just. It's almost as if I was to write a script and it was just like interior action.
That's how all scripts are written. It's just, the actors do things.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, whatever. They're all props.
I do want the BBC thing.
Yeah, so it was this documentary about a soccer riot in England between I forget what towns it was, 2 English towns that a soccer riot started 20 years ago and it's still going on.
Yeah, which is funny because European riots or soccer riots are a thing.
There was a funny dissolve I liked where 2 guys are hitting each other with chairs and then it dissolves and they're older and they're hitting each other with walkers. That was kind of funny, but then it turned into this really weird thing where it was like, oh, they said it was so violent that the Virgin Mary, looking down on the stadium, came to life and kicked the snot out of everyone.
Yeah.
Like instead of the statue crying during wartime or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just this extended scene
Yeah.
of the Virgin Mary actually coming to life and just beating people up.
And like
it
a
had nothing to do with anything.
21-year-old soccer riot is something that would never happen in real life, but I can go if I was watching Simpsons, I go, oh, that's funny. Yeah, that would happen in the Simpsons.
Yeah.
Whereas the Virgin Mary coming to life, never mind beating people up, just the
That's
Virgin
crazy
Mary
make 'em up playland
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. So that we didn't like that. I want to talk about Harry Shears' narration.
Yeah.
He does such a great understated job performing this old-timey BBC documentary narrating.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, you know, obviously we just had our special episode right before this where we talked about
Superman Returns.
we talked about Superman Returns, and somewhere in there we also talked about Harry Shearer probably leaving, maybe not, but probably leaving the show.
Still developing story, so we'll see what happens.
And everybody's been talking about what's the show going to be like without Harry Shearer, and what they're going to do is hire people who sound alike, and there's already guys and girls on YouTube, I guess mostly guys on YouTube, that apparently can do a great Mr. Burns or something like that. And you know what, I'm sure once they hire somebody, we'll hear it and we'll go, I can hear the difference, but it's, you know, that's fine. It sounds like
serviceable enough for the last 2 seasons.
But doing a good impression of Mr. Burns or Kent Brockman or Smithers isn't replacing Harry Shearer. You know, he's a comic genius, and there's just very subtle things he can do. Maybe you'll find somebody who can do other subtle things, but a Harry Shearer, a Mr. Burns impersonator.
He's been doing this for 26 years.
A Mr. Burns impersonator is probably not going to be the same guy. So, and this really like woke me up to that and made it's just like, oh man, he really nailed this narration. And,
he does a great like authoritative but like funny, like a serious voice, but that's still funny. He's very good at that.
It's almost like it's so subtle, but it's like funny because of how serious it is. Even though it's not that serious.
Which is what is so funny about him in all the Christopher Guest movies. Like A Mighty Wind and all those. Very good stuff.
And then the soccer thing wraps up. Homer's painting his ref shirt white, and it's pretty much his regular white collar shirt. I like that. And then Maggie has blows a whistle when they're playing a backyard soccer game, and that was a fun little thing because she always has a pacifier in her mouth, so instead she has a whistle. It makes sense. I liked it.
It was just kind of a nothing thing for me. A lot of this episode was just nothing, I thought, but we'll get to the recap at the end.
Why don't we circle back and talk about the A plot?
Let's do it. So back to the beginning of this episode, we mentioned the PTA meeting, which is how the episode begins. Principal Skinner and Superintendent Chalmers are there saying there's going to be budget cutbacks, and in the science department they no longer have a skeleton. They're just going to use this Halloween costume, which I thought was funny. It was Willie in this terrible...
I thought that was funny. I didn't like
It's a funny visual.
Yeah, it was a funny visual. It's just even the concept using a skeleton costume instead of skeleton. I liked it.
Yeah.
But Chalmers says, we got to put that back in the snap case, a plastic snap case.
Yeah, that was one beat too many.
And that's not even the one beat. That's like this post-classic problem we've talked about where the Simpsons just mentions something specific. It's like, hey, here's something specific just to mention. It's like, I never really noticed that all the Halloween costumes, or I have noticed that all the Halloween costumes are in plastic snap cases, but it's something I never thought about. Oh, that's nice that they're specifically referencing it, except it's not nice. There's nothing to it.
There was nothing to it, I agree. And then there was also a line, Skinner says, the trip to Italy has now been changed to a Papa John's spaghetti dinner.
Yeah.
Which, that's funny.
It's an easy joke,
But
I get it.
I liked that he said your $2,500 deposit will not be refunded.
Yeah.
That was funny and very, very Skinner.
Chalmers ask. Oh yeah, Skinner's ask.
But then Homer just goes, "Ooh, Papa John's," and that was it.
That was it.
And I'm wondering if that was product placement, just like Papa John's paid a little money for Homer to be like, "Ooh, Papa John's."
I would be very disappointed if that was the case, but I did think that's the joke. I mean, I'm guessing the joke was, hey, Homer thinks Papa John's is better than Italy or is good.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to eat garbage pizza, you should go to Papa John's. It's terrible.
This podcast brought to you by Popeyes.
Well,
but
Popeyes is good stuff.
But no, it's just like that's the joke. Ooh, Papa John's, we get it.
There's
Homer
no joke. It's just
food. Yeah.
Which is what makes me think that's too nice for Papa John's, which is something that they used to do a little bit of satire on. I feel like that might have been some wheels greased.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, whether or not
I'm no conspiracy theorist.
Whether or not it was paid product placement, it still was
still bad.
Let's set up Papa John's. Like the joke is not. This is vastly inferior to Papa John's. The joke is there is no joke. It's Homer likes Papa John's.
Yeah, the second part of the joke is no joke. Yeah, it's just Homer likes Papa John's. So they pass an email clipboard. Everybody has to write their email, and Marge panics. Actually, the first part of this A-plot where Marge discovers the internet is really perfect Marge story.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff I liked.
Like, the idea of Marge not having email makes sense to me.
Totally.
And the idea of Marge freaking out that she has no email address also makes sense to me. It's great Marge.
I liked when she said, I'll log into the Yahoos or the Yippies or the Pookadookah.
Yeah, I like when she makes...
That was just very Marge, not knowing things and just kind of making stuff up that she thinks is a thing.
Yeah, there's been a couple of nonsense words.
I like that. That's a classic Marge kind of thing. It's
funny that what occurred to me is that she's really of the only generation. It's a wide generation, granted, but it's really this is going to be the only generation history, and it includes people even our age, but probably a little older, and then people a lot older, like our moms and our dads.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the only generation that will not no internet and will be late to the game because pretty much everybody out now, at least in first world countries, are just growing up with internet. Not even growing up, but just growing up with they're trying to swipe books these days, kids. Like,
no.
Yeah.
What?
If you give a kid a book, they will try to swipe it because
like a baby.
Yeah. Well, no,
wow.
like it's like 3-year-old. Because if you give you can give a 1-year-old an iPad or a tablet, and you're not gonna give them a book because they can't read, but they'll play with the thing. The first time you give them an actual book is well after the first time you gave them. So it's this. Look it up on YouTube. It's this weird phenomenon where they like start swiping the cover. They don't get it. They don't even know to open it.
That's weird.
Yeah, but it makes 100% sense.
It does make sense, but that's weird.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's nuts.
But so that's everybody now. Everybody's going to grow up at least knowing the internet and email.
Right.
So I mean, who knows?
We were the last generation.
That's not true. I guess
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
in America.
I guess there'll be a generation, even us maybe, where there's like some new technology like the Oculus or something, where we might be late to the game. And younger people will be like, you don't know how to use the Oculus.
Periscope.
Like yeah. Well, stay tuned.
Yeah, we might do something with Periscope.
No, so yeah, it just so that generation thing is funny. Marge is perfect to represent that generation gap with the internet. But here's what really was interesting to me. She's only in universe 36, 37, maybe 38.
Right.
So it's funny that
this was what, 2007, I think.
Yeah.
This episode
So
aired.
it's funny that her and Homer kind of, I don't know, maybe when we were younger it didn't occur to us, but 36 is a few years away for us, and even 38's not that old. It's not old. It's not old at all.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I mean, yes, you can be a parent of a 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, but to be old fogey-ish and not have email at 38, even in 2007, it just seemed a little. But she's not just 38. She is this kept in the house housewife.
True.
But it's still, I don't know. It was just funny to me that like this 38-year-old didn't know internet.
Yeah.
It was 38's not old.
38's not old. We say as we're approaching 38. Well, they're not that close.
Blink, we'll still be doing this. We'll still have 600 episodes to go on this one.
We'll be like, okay, we're doing Marge vs. the Monorail. It's our last 5 episodes. Is it better or worse?
We gotta go to our kids' college graduation.
Boy, our kids grew up so fast. Literally, in 8 years, they grew up and graduated college.
They're little doogie houses.
I'm going to name my first child Hemus.
I hope you do not.
After my good friend. Did you meet this guy at the bus stop?
Hemus Grufik Mulhall. Was it Hemus? I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Was it?
It was Hemus.
Hemus?
Yeah. Did you call me Jackie? It's me, Hemus.
Why is Sideshow Mel at a PTA meeting?
Yes, you made that great point when we were watching the episode.
Does he have a kid?
We've never seen him have a kid.
Give him a daughter. Put her in the soccer team.
I guess that's a great point. I guess he just likes orange drink because that's his big thing at the PTA meeting. He wants orange drink.
Was the orange? When I heard the orange drink, I was like, oh, that's a callback to the orange drink in the PTA meeting in the classic era episode. Was Sideshow Mel the one that wanted it?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
I remember Willie was watering it down.
Rewriting the episode, as we are wont to do. If they did introduce the soccer in this scene, they could introduce it with Sideshow Mel, and he had a daughter. There you go.
Yeah, and then later she's playing soccer.
And you don't need Jessica Lovejoy.
Done.
Yeah. And Sideshow Mel being a soccer dad arguing with Homer would be hilarious.
That's true. Yeah, that would have been a great.
That is a yellow card. That is, that card should.
I am outraged.
That card should be yellow. It should be red. Something like that.
Something like that. First draft.
So if Dan Castellano decides to quit, you know who to call for your Sideshow Mel. 2 of us together at the same time.
Sideshow Mel. And it'll be like that where I'm a half second before you. Sideshow Mel.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. That's a red card. You're out of the game.
But, oh!
Another family broken up by Ronaldo.
And then there's a montage. I guess there was 2 montages. I don't know if there was a soccer montage.
There were 2 montages, yes.
Right. So there's a surf in the web montage to
Surfing USA.
Because the word surfing can be used as surfing...
Surfing the web! But also surfing a wave!
But you could also surf the gay mare.
Man, so much has happened in this
episode. The old gay mare,
that I forgot about.
Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. The old gay mare.
Jack, put your pants back on.
The old gay mare.
Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be.
It's hard to be a half second off on purpose.
Anyway. Old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be.
I can't do it. I just keep...
What the fuck is this?
I want to talk about 2 aspects of the animation in this episode. So the first thing Marge does, after they do a scene of her discovering the internet, which I liked. Again, Marge is perfect for this old fogey-ish generation gap discovering the modern
Right.
day.
Was this the scene where she goes to the view your house from space?
Oh, no.
Oh, I want to talk about a few things before she's in the
Okay.
game. So she sees the house from space, and you see Homer naked in the backyard, and then you see from the computer, like a Google Earth Google Maps kind of thing. You see Marge go out into the backyard and like chase Homer, and Homer's naked and he runs into the Flanders house. What did you think of this moment where he runs into Flanders' house and Flanders is like, Homer, have you met my parents? And Homer goes, not naked, I haven't.
I didn't hate it.
It just did nothing for me.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. It was like not like the joke, it was almost building on our expectations. The joke is like, he ran in the house and he's naked, and you think maybe he's gonna be like, but instead he's just like, not naked. You have. I don't know. I didn't hate it.
I feel like you didn't need Homer to say, not naked, I haven't. That didn't really add anything, at least for me. And you probably could have had something better than just Ned Flanders' parents
I'm
are there.
sure you can do something better. I don't know, but I didn't think. I don't know. I didn't mind it.
I was like, hi, Homer, have you seen my home baptismal group or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's much better.
You son of a bitch. I'll get Hemus back in here. He'll show you what's what.
It was a great joke. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Mulholland.
This is how I will instill order on the podcast.
What is that the dialogue?
Is it? I'm in a disguise.
Get down, dog. What are you doing with that big fake mustache
I'm
on?
Doll L.
The Superman from Krypton. Not my Doll. Hashtag. In the front.
We're just like inceptioning on ourselves with just old bits, just glitching into one another.
We're like turning into the end of a Don Hertzfeldt cartoon.
Yeah, really. The center cannot hold, folks.
But the Simpsons doing a Google Earth joke, they could do. I could see them in their entire run doing a Google Earth joke, and I was just like, that sucks if that was it, because I feel like there's something funnier.
There's something better you could have done.
I don't know what it could have been, but I'm not a Simpsons writer.
I liked when just another great Marge type thing, or maybe it wasn't, and I just read that into it. After she's kind of on the internet and super into the internet, at the dinner table, she's like, I did all these things. I found a quicker way to the foundry or something ridiculous. And she's like, and look at all these houses that Bart and Lisa won't be allowed to trick or treat at. And it was like a stack of dot matrix printer paper from like the 80s. Yeah. I just liked that. She's trying to get modern, but she still has this old-timey printer.
It only occurred to me like a year ago why dot matrix paper had like those. I had a dot matrix printer growing up, and I was always so annoyed that I had to peel off the edges, the sides with the holes in it. I never realized it was for the feeder.
to feed it through.
It's funny. I just never thought to think about it. It's just like, that's paper.
This is the way the printer works.
That's computer paper. Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny.
It's great now. We all have magic paper that we can just swipe left and right.
What else?
Where you swipe right if you want to have sex with the paper or something.
Oh, is that a Tinder joke? I missed out on all those great dating apps. I was already dating my longtime girlfriend before. I missed out on all this amazing internet sex everybody's having.
I've been with my wife for 8 years.
Yeah, so you didn't even get the joy of getting Snapchat boobs.
No.
We missed out on all that.
Send me your
stuff.
Snapchat boobs. No, don't really, please. Please don't.
Or you will have a new wife.
All right, I'll be on Tinder real quick. Ugh, all right.
Divorce jokes.
All right, so now let's talk about... So one of the banner ads she sees is for this World of Warcraft type game, which she clicks on, and she gets into the
game.
So she's creating her character.
Yeah. So, there's a couple of things I want to talk about animation-wise about this episode. One is in this screen especially. Basically, I'm really disappointed in the way the animation was with the video game and how they kind of... They had this chance to have this new fun virtual world. This is an animated show, and it's not a Halloween episode, although at times definitely felt like it.
It felt like it. There was a lot of entrails and severed heads.
Yeah, but you have this opportunity to really play. Think about episodes like in the classic years when Homer hallucinates from the pepper and with Johnny Cash.
Great episode.
Whenever dream sequences, stuff like that, where you can really play with the animation, have some fun with it.
You're right. It was pretty much just regular Springfield, but but everyone's in
like,
Renaissance fair
everything,
attire.
like the trees and everything maybe looked a little bit more pixelated.
Like some
but-
characters, like Skinner, was turned into this like chicken dragon looking thing.
But just the direction even. I'm talking like the direction. It was just like flat and just. I mean, yes, it's funny to see maybe the background stay the same and have her avatar walk like a video game.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more they could have done with it. And again, South Park did World of Warcraft the same thing with the characters go into the thing. They did it a couple times.
That way they did it with the actual game engine. Like they had made, I'm pretty sure they made characters in the same like software that the video game.
It just feels like it was just a big loss of potential. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that bad. It just could have been way better. Yeah. It could have been way better. And so one aspect of that is the create a character screen, where this is a big problem in the last 15 years in live action movies. Is they can't figure out a way to make on screen like computer and stuff like that, texting and stuff like that. Exciting to look at cinematically. It's kind of just dull. You're just looking at the screen. There's been people trying to innovate it.
Sherlock. Just a great texting
Sherlock
thing.
And a lot of shows before and after Sherlock do this thing where the texting kind of just appears up on the screen. That's not bad. It works. And it seems to be becoming this new visual language where we accept that seeing a text.
Right.
So it's kind of becoming legitimate technique. But there's other ways. Johnny Mnemonic has some really weird, dated like ways of showing. This
is the first time Johnny Mnemonic has come up anywhere in the past 20 years.
Yeah. So there's different ways to do it, but it's been a common problem since pretty much the invented became a thing in the early 90s.
Did you say the invented?
The internet. Oh, did I say invented?
Yeah, I think so. All right, whatever.
It's pretty much.
Look, I know what happens when you smush words together.
It's pretty much been a thing since the internet became big in the early 90s.
Right.
So they really in just watching her create a character where she's like, let's see, and she clicks and there's jokes and she's talking and she's like, I don't like this, I don't like that, and eventually she turns into Marge, and that was funny. But it was dull to watch because you're just watching this static shot.
Right, of this character just like, oh, let me change the shoes, and then the shoes change, and there's no joke, there's nothing visually exciting.
And it's not that static shots can be great in live action and in The Simpsons, the rake shot or something like that.
Right.
But it just here was just so dull.
Yeah, the one thing I did like was when she goes to face, she picks other, and it's just immediately Marge's face. Yeah. And there was one animation thing I actually did like that they did with the kind of the create a character, how Marge looked in the video game. Did you notice that her pearls, instead of being around her neck, they were up in her hair?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch.
So there's fun things they could do with that. There's fun things they could have done with a lot of stuff, but I think there was a lot of room left in the direction, and you're doing this. This is before Game of Thrones, but I just feel like there could have been more sweeping, epic, adventure stuff going on, even though it is a game, but it was one of those fake TV games where you can do a lot more with your avatar than it really makes sense.
Right, like Futurama going into the internet kind of thing.
People seem to, wince in pain when they get hurt, even though I'm assuming they're at their keyboards.
Right, well, okay, so that was something that came up later, jumping a little bit ahead. At one point, the Shadow Knight, which is the big villain who we find out is played by Bart, he makes Mo, beat himself with a mace in the back, and Mo's like, oh, and he's saying the Goblin Bill of Rights at the same time. And it's just what the fuck is this? This has no
and everybody's
stakes at all. It doesn't matter that a video game character is hitting himself.
Yeah, this is really nerdy, but why everybody's laughing at Mo in the bar? It's they're laughing in their mics at their keyboards.
Typing in laugh command.
And then their avatars have a laugh animation. I don't know.
Laugh command, my short-lived public access show. This is the laugh command. I don't know
what does it mean?
I have no idea.
Laugh Command sounds like one of those early '80s, late '70s shows about a police helicopter, and it's the team that runs it. It's Laugh Command, starring Bill Shatner.
Yeah, so Marge plays this game and she kind of gets addicted to it, which I actually did like and made sense because Marge, as we know, has an addictive personality because she was addicted to gambling.
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
They kind of don't do enough. I don't know, the whole thing where she's in the game and she's just seeing people from town, it was just...
Yeah, that's the other thing. This game is
just expected and boring.
The game's on the internet. I guess, this is, again, headcanon, where I was, trying to make excuses for the show.
Right.
But I was
a local game.
So, yeah, I'm guessing there's, a private game.
She's on a server that's only Springfield.
But it is funny that all Springfield in the internet.
It just felt like, I don't know, they could have done a lot more. Like, they're just doing jokes they could do in real life. But now it's funny because Apu's wearing clothes Apu does not normally wear.
Yeah.
And Mo is an ogre.
Yeah, I know, he's a troll. He's a troll. Oh, man, that was so weird. Like, yes, we get it. Mo is a troll with the joke, the exact joke they made in the book job, basically. And he goes, "Why does everybody think I'm a troll? I look like myself." And then he goes and storms off under a bridge. It wasn't funny, but it makes, it was like, whatever, we get it. But then he does this weird...
he goes under the bridge and he's like...
Yeah, which I guess...
What was that?
Which I guess is like a troll sound,
I guess.
Just awkward, just awkward Mo.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It was awkward. Marge realizes that she has played through the night. And I love the scene where Bart says, it's 7 a.m. on Saturday. And then Lisa's like, it's not Saturday. And Bart just picks up golf clubs and he's just like, I don't know.
It was one of my favorite jokes of the episode.
Same.
It's building on your audience expectations, which is a great thing a comedy can do.
Yeah.
So The Simpsons, for once, is assuming its audience is actually pretty smart and knows tropes in writing and in comedy. So normally, like, if you were new to pop culture, when they say it's Saturday, that would be like really surprising. Like, oh my God, she's been out for 2 days, not a 1 day, but it's a day past how long she thought it was.
Yeah.
Whereas that's been done quite a few times at this point, so it's not that surprising when we go, oh yeah, we get it.
It's actually Bart is lying.
Yeah,
which makes sense for Bart to do.
Exactly. So it was great for, like, even I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I get it. She's been it's longer than we thought. Yeah, I get it. We've seen it. Cynical old Jack. Yeah. And then for Bart to actually be lying about it, it was great because it's playing on my expectations and like a smart audience that's familiar with a trope already.
Yep, and then subvert it even further because then Bart's like, I'm gonna go play golf. When have we ever seen Bart play golf?
So and then Bart playing golf is one of those things where it's absurd but it fits. Like he's like, I can totally see.
I can see it. Yeah, but we've never seen it.
Yeah, we've never seen it.
And I love that the clubs are just there. He's like, I know, and he just picks up the clubs and walks out from nowhere.
It was a nice, complicated, layered little thing. I just love that it subverted my expectations. It's just like no, it actually, she was only out for a few hours. She was just one night.
It was one night.
It was like the opposite of the Green Hornet with Seth Rogen, where you find out he was out for like 2 weeks, and that was where they kept just escalating the build up of the joke.
So Marge is in this virtual world, and there's this guy, the Shadow Knight, who's going around and killing everyone. Again, it is very similar to the South Park episode about World of Warcraft, where there's this one super powerful guy. Who
the animation of the guy behind the keyboard.
That's amazing. Yeah, Jack just did it. But yeah, so we find out it is Bart who is the Shadow Knight, and I didn't expect that, and I thought that was a nice twist.
But at this point, I was like, oh, I have seen this episode before, and I was like, all right, I knew Shadow Knight was, just because I know what storytelling, I was like, Shadow Knight's going to be somebody we know, and I was trying to think, it's like, who's going to be? It's going to be Homer? And I was like, and I've seen the episode before, so I was like, I'm trying to remember. It wasn't I was trying to guess, I was trying to remember.
Right.
And I couldn't remember, and then when it was Bart, I was like, oh, that's a great choice.
Yeah, it was, and then I liked, on top of that, so Marge finds out because she's walking past Bart's room and hears him like saying things the Shadow Knight was saying, and I love that she is proud of him, like, he's the best at the game. Yeah, my son is the best.
You know what's funny is, like, I actually was like, oh man, I wish my parents played video games so that they could know that, like, that's one of the few things I'm good. It's like, oh wow, Jack actually plays good D in NHL 13.
Hey Jackie, good boy, man.
Thanks mom and dad collectively.
Okay. I have a note here. This episode so far isn't awful. It's just not very funny.
Yeah.
But I think later on it kind of
It's not just not very funny. It's not very, it's not just lackluster in the humor. It's lackluster in the direction, the storytelling. It's not bad in any of it. It's just kind of mediocre in all of it.
Yeah, this episode overall is just very there. Yeah. It's just bland. I never thought that I would see Dr. Nick's head get squeezed into juice.
Yeah, why is he yelling in pain? Now. Doesn't make sense.
Right, it doesn't. It's like, what world is this? Like, why does it matter? Why does anything matter here? It's a video game.
Again, it felt really Halloween episode-esque. Which could have been fun for a real episode, but whatever. Yeah. There were a couple of there was a video game joke I did like where, I forget who it was. Mo, maybe? I think it was Mo talking about Shadow Knight. He said, he beat me to death with my own life bar. And that's like a funny, funny. Even though life bars, I guess they're still around in video games, but it was just a funny visual, like to take the life bar. I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah. I actually really like we kind of touched on this already with the Homer plot, but this idea of Bart being really good at this video game that Marge then gets addicted to, and kind of like, how does that affect the dynamic both in real life and in the video game?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
You have this bonding experience, but you also have her momming it up.
Yeah, it gets a little shoved aside when the soccer plot becomes more prevalent, which is kind of a shame because I thought you could do
They worked
some more
very
there.
well together, yeah.
Yeah.
You could have done back to back or, parallel.
Yeah, it's just like, we didn't see that much of how Bart was affected by it. I guess Marge comes in and puts this Hello Kitty stuff all over the Shadow Knight's castle, which was...
Yeah, like, instead of stupid shit like that, what it should have... Like, especially rewriting the episode. So you have the act 2, the crux of the story. Lisa is like mad with power of her dad's power, and she's exploiting him in the game.
Lisa's high, Bart's low.
So what if Marge did the same thing? So now Marge is bullying everyone around the town, even though she's not a great fighter or whatever.
Because she knows the Shadow Knight's going to come in.
She's like,
Shadow Knight, much better.
She's like, Shadow Knight, and like she uses it in the real world where she's just like, I want the good parking spot at church. And like, and like she has Shadow Knight like bully Hibbert or Flanders or whoever.
That they kind of did on It's Always Sunny when they did a gaming episode,
I don't think I've seen that. I haven't seen the last season.
That's a good one.
So it's, again, they really there was a lot of potential here. They really set up, I feel like they set up this elaborate domino thing, and I can't wait to see the dominoes fall, and then they just trample through the whole thing, and then
just
the dominoes down.
All of the dominoes are flat.
Like Ronaldo comes and just does a flop kick.
A flippity floop onto the dominoes. There was a moment in the game where Marge is kind of running away, and she runs into Mr. Burns, who's a dragon.
Yeah.
And Mr. Burns says to her, "Is this the Wall Street Journal online?"
Yeah.
That was just like... It's a funny idea to have Mr. Burns in the game. And it's a funny idea that he stumbled in by accident, but like... Is the Wall Street Journal the funniest thing he could have been looking for? Like he should have been looking for like the Prussian something or other.
Yeah, it should have been like an antiquity, like a Burnsified.
Exactly, Burnsified a little bit more.
I didn't
That's
even think about
for.
that. Yeah, that I thought it was such an easy joke. Like you said, it was just there. I didn't care.
Yeah,
and like the Wall Street Journal makes sense because he's a businessman, but it's just there. I bet you I would have actually been positive about the joke if it was like a
it's a funny setup. Like, Mr. Burns, like, let's see what he does in this video game. Oh, he just wants the Wall Street Journal.
Is this where this where I find the stock prices on like some like old out of date
just like is this
product?
My typewriter's gone crazy or something. I don't know.
Something
is
like
that something?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a joke.
Yeah, it's do a really absurdist joke where you see he's on the internet on a typewriter.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever. He's doing it through Morse code. Like
he talks and it's just a modem noise for some reason. I don't know.
Then right after that, she bumps into the bullies, who looked suspiciously like the three trolls from the first Hobbit prequel.
Right.
But again, we've talked about how we don't like bully jokes in the post-classic era, and this was again one of them where the joke goes like Bart kills them, and then they're like, "You want to go hang out? Go offline and hang out." And And Jimbo says, "I'm in the tub," and Kearney says, "I'm in Denmark," and like
and it was like end scene.
Yeah, and there's two problems with that. I like first of all, I don't like where they just shoehorn in these like, isn't it funny because they're the bullies and they were giving them these silly characteristics. Yeah. So Kearney in Denmark, it's like the joke is, why would Kearney be in Denmark? And the other, it's the same, Jimbo being in the tub is the same joke. It's like, why would Jimbo be in the tub? But that kind of fits this weird, like the soap opera thing they gave it. Like he likes watching
Jimbo,
Simpsons. So it's almost like if they just picked one of the bullies and that bully always had this like weird, soft, intimate side, that I would get behind, and
but they're trying to do it to all of them.
Like Jimbo, we were talking about how Jimbo had this weird religious thing. He was in Sunday school in one of the episodes we covered. And if that was a consistent thing, we would be cool with that because it's characterization.
Right, but they just do it like when they need something wacky. It's just like pull out some new thing.
So even if I gave them the benefit of the doubt, I said, you know what, Jimbo in the tub is funny. I like it makes sense. It's like, hey, you guys want to go hang out? No, I'm in the tub. Fine. The Denmark joke is pretty much the exact same joke except bigger. It's just like, oh, I can't.
I'm actually here.
So it would have been funny if they came up with I'm
on the moon.
Yeah. So it would be better if they came up with a separate reason instead of just upping the I'm in a place where I can't come.
Yeah.
If they like came up with a different reason why he can't come, that's other than I'm in a place I shouldn't be.
Or if it was like I'm not actually Kearney or something.
Yeah,
like
that. That would have been great.
That
would have been great. I'm actually Kearney's dad. Or something like that. Because exactly, that would have been way better because it's
not the same joke but bigger. It's a different joke.
Yeah, because Denmark is the same joke but bigger. But so I hate it. Like that.
Denmark's just a big bathtub, really. That's what we're trying to say.
The bathtub of Europe.
It is, and they can't get Simpsons World.
I like the line, a great mom line. where Marge is momming him in the video game. She goes, "Let me enchant your pants," and like not just the fact that they rhyme, but it's just a funny thing. Like if your mom had magic powers, she would enchant your pants. Enchant your pants. Yeah.
Also, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. So at one point, Bart like whips around in the game and accidentally kills Marge, and that's kind of like the end of the second act. And I didn't like. Bart turns around and Marge is gone in the game. And then they cut to Marge at the computer and she just goes, "I can't believe it. I was killed by my own son." And then it was act break. I was like, why did we need that? Like it was
just repeating the
we
thing
understand what's happening. We just saw it.
Yeah, that was just bad writing.
Yeah, it just was
not economical.
Unnecessary.
Again, the killing would have been much stronger a story beat if we had this dynamic where she was like pushing everybody around town and mad with power, and then it was Bart the one that was bringing it down. Although if you were doing a good story with that as your crux, then probably be Bart like figuring it out and realizing he's being exploited and purposefully killing her. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that. You could have done a lot of things with it, and they just kind of it just peters out.
Rather than just
story.
do it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah. There's one thing we didn't talk about. I guess it's kind of a spot where these two plots combine. It's when Bart and Homer go to Moe's.
Yeah.
And they ask Moe, like, what to do, and Moe is like, "Oh, you should appeal to Marge's sense of empathy and Lisa's sense of reason." And they're like, "Oh, wow, Moe, that's really good advice. Like, what have you done with the real Moe?" And he's like, "Ha, ha, ha." Yeah. And then it cuts to the back room, and Moe is, like, tied up. What the hell was that?
It's such a Family Guy joke.
Yeah.
Where they're really cool with just, like, breaking all the rules and like... You know, Peter having a robot face and
it was
too much.
It was kind of funny, but it was not a Simpsons joke.
No, it was too much. It was breaking the world too much.
Yeah, it was jockey elves.
And like I don't know how I feel about even before that reveal where Moe was just like, "What you should do is," and then he gives really specific advice because like how would he know the situation? You know, again, I love this new word, absurdist. I learned. It's like it's because it's absurdist. Because why would he know the situation? Right. I don't know how I feel about that. Because even that's kind of stretching it. Like I thought it was too easy. Where again, it's just like I guess because both plots were rushed and not really done well. But that's Moe just gives them. It's like a Deus Ex. It's a
it's just
divine. It's Moe intervention.
Moe intervention. Yeah.
So
it's just very absurdist, like some sort of prospector coming in from a bus stop. Did someone ask for me?
Nope.
I'm Amos. Oh, was I mistaken? Okay.
Yep, you were mistaken.
I'll go out this way then.
Door's that way.
Let me open the door.
Wait. I don't know. I can't do open door sounds.
Let me close the door then. There we go. I don't know who said that.
I guess I could just play my closed door sound in reverse.
That's pretty good.
Don't you steal my bit, Mo.
It's me, Gruffic.
No.
It's Toothpick in disguise.
That makes sense. That's in character. That's good characterization.
That's world building, my friend. I have another thing I want to say. In the same vein of Marge being like, "My son killed me," and it being unnecessary. So Bart realizes Marge is upset with him after he talks to Moe, and he's like, "Okay, how can I bring Marge's character back?" And he goes, "Aha, if I just sit here and I press Alt F5 repeatedly, like I can give her my life force or whatever." And so you see in the game that happening, and then it pulls out just to show Bart actually hitting Alt F5 like a bunch of times. Why do I need to see that?
Yeah.
Doesn't add anything. It's not funny.
What would be great is if they zoom in and it's really dramatic and the music heightens and it's like this big emotional moment where Bart is giving his life and then they just cut to him going
Don't tell us that all he has to do is hit Alt F5. Like, make it a thing and then just, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a better way to do it.
The juxtaposition of, like, this dramatic moment with him just tapping his keyboard would have been much funnier if it was visually interpreted that way. But it wasn't.
And then he brings Marge back to life and instantly she's back playing the game, which...
So she was sitting at a computer, like, as a dead body.
She's just sitting there in the game as a dead body doing nothing, and then all of a sudden she's back to life and she's like, oh, okay, I'm back. Yeah. It's a good thing I was sitting here. And then the last thing is, so Bart gives up some of his life to bring Marge's character back, so he's now weakened, and the townspeople all kill him. And there's this weird scene where his dismembered corpse, they're just like playing with his entrails, like a Ring Around the Rosie type thing, and they're singing this like terrible, terrible song, and it was just like, what is this?
It was like a fantasy.
Yeah, but
show,
it wasn't
funny.
There was no
point to it. Yeah,
it's just pointless.
I guess it was a Simpsons musical.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And that's it. It was just, and then it ties back with Ronaldo at the end, and that was
the
really
trails too. The entrails. That's graphic for a non-Halloween episode. I almost said graphic.
It's tough.
It's graphic for I don't know. It's a little bloody and gross.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Didn't like
No,
it.
didn't like it.
Should we not? Should we not show intestines?
Should we show the intestines? Should we show the intestines?
I'm Mo. I'm playing this while I'm on a can.
Wow, Mo! You're a troll!
What? No. My character's supposed to look like me. Why does everyone keep thinking I'm a troll?
Okay, so we are going to rank Marge Gamer on our master list here of every episode we've done. And we do that on a 4-factor test. We're each going to talk about the rank the humor, the integrity of the episode. That's kind of how it all ties together. And what does it... Are the characters the way we know them? The production of the episode, how does it look and sound? And the originality of the episode, which is kind of the story and how that works. And we do that on a 0 to 5 scale. Jack and I will each do that. And Jack, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's just get these elephants out of the way so I can get over to the timer.
That was a horse.
Certainly was. I mean, you did the arm trunk thing that the audience will never get to see, but that does not make a horse an elephant. I'm sorry.
That one I just did was almost the opening to Wipeout.
Wipeout.
And with that note, let's put 2 minutes on our clock, get some time going, and here we go. The humor of this episode, Jack, what do you think?
I feel like a 1.5 would be generous. 1?
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go 1. And not a very funny episode. A lot of the moments that I even liked were more cute than funny. So, yeah.
And we do not have a cute in our...
Nope.
Should we add a 5th one? Should we do the Chivo?
Nope.
Chippo?
Chippo? No. Okay, the integrity of the episode. Wasn't so bad.
Again, like I said,
The characters were themselves.
I liked the Lisa turnaround. It was in character. I wish they did more with it.
Right, Marge being addicted to something, that makes sense.
Okay, I do like the Marge in it, I think. So I will bump it up. I'll be nice. I will bump it up to a 3.
A 3? Wow, I'm going to go 2.5. I'm going middle of the road. The production of the episode. Not that much done with the whole video game thing.
Yeah,
like
so
the Marge's pearls being in her hair, I liked that.
Right. Again, like I said, it's not that it's bad. It's just they really lost out on potential, and I want to penalize it for that.
Yeah.
One production thing that I will bring down is, I guess this is where I would bring down Ronaldo's shitty voice acting. As great as
that's
like I
in
said,
there.
he had 2 great line deliveries that I really liked. It was two of my favorite jokes in the entire episode. But I gotta criticize the show for shoehorning in these guest stars where they don't belong. So I'm gonna give it a 1.5.
That's what I was thinking as well. I don't know if that was English. Doesn't matter. And the originality of the episode, finally. This was 2 good-ish plots that did not work well together.
And they didn't. And they blew it. They wasted.
Yeah, I mean,
blew it. They wasted the potential.
Yeah.
Also, South Park did it.
And South Park did it. It's tough. Like I said, I like the ideas, but this episode was not good. This was a very bland episode. It was not objectionably bad.
It was bland.
It was bland.
You guys really should listen to our Empty Nest podcast.
It's bland.
So that isn't as annoying as it probably is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 1.5.
All right. I think I'm also gonna give it a 1.5. I think that's a good bet. So we have crunched our numbers, and Marge Gamer is ranking low on this episode, kind of in the middle, actually, of our rankings, which is where we expected it to fall. We are saying it is a better episode than Romy Old and Julie and a worse episode than Treehouse of Horror 20.
Yeah, it makes sense. Good spot for it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. You know, it's not the worst episode by far, but not one I'm ever really looking forward to seeing again.
Yeah.
All right, so
apparently you won't remember if
I've already forgotten it. It's been like 2 hours. That does it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have an episode you want to suggest, like we said, you go to our website, wepodcast.com. You can do that. There's a suggest an episode link that takes you to our handy dandy Google form that'll do it for you. And also on that website, you can go to our Facebook page, you can go to our Twitter page, you can comment on the show notes right there. You can read the show notes. You can do a lot of stuff. It's a very exciting website.
Great. It's the next Facebook.
Yeah. In fact, we added an FAQ section on our About page, actually.
Oh.
So none of them were actually asked. None of these cues were FA, but
frequently
it's just there now. So enjoy it. And tell your friends if you have someone who loves this episode. Tell them to listen to this podcast, and email us, tweet us, and take us to task.
We love when you guys disagree with us on the podcast because not for nothing. ranking a bunch of episodes on a list. Not the most scientific. We know we're not perfect, so sometimes we even get our minds changed. So
yeah, if you are in the Brooklyn area, you can come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia. That is the first Thursday of every month. It's June 2nd or something this month, or in this coming month. If you're not in Brooklyn, you can come to another trivia night. There's nights in Toronto, Chicago, Detroit, Ann Arbor, possibly other places, Calgary. Just Google Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia for more information about that. Like I said, wepodcast.com. And if you want to follow us on Twitter personally, I'm at ThenDanSays.
I'm at Jackie No Bricks.
And I think that's it for this episode. Next week, we're going to be back. Jack, what episode are we watching next week?
We'll be watching There's Something About Marrying from season 16.
All right. That sounds exciting. It sounds like there's a wedding involved.
Maybe.
A spring wedding.
Something about one.
Great. Okay, and with that, there's only one thing left to do. It's our Summer of Fans that we've been doing. Guys, we really want you to get involved with the show.
Yeah,
submit your Summer of Fans. Cut all this submission.
If you've been waiting, now's the time. Cards on the table. We're not getting nearly as many as we thought we were.
We've gotten good ones. These are all good.
We've gotten great ones, but we don't have enough to get through the summer or even the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So, look, if you're one of the, we know we have a decent amount of listeners. We have a core group of great people on our Facebook and our Twitter that communicate. But if you're one of those listeners who probably like me, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I never comment on their websites or whatever.
Right.
So if you're like me and you love the show and you listen, but you're just not that type of person to really do the extra mile and go comment, you're too busy.
Yeah, record yourself. Say cut all this.
Just give us a cut all this.
Come on.
You might have been intimidated because we've had some really great entries the last few weeks by people. But look, honestly, if it's just you saying cut all this in your natural voice, even that means a lot to us. And that's fine.
Hey, cut all this. That's it. Done. Perfect.
You don't have to write a song. You don't have to do something special. If you do, great. But honestly, it just means the world to us, even the fact that you found the way to record it and get it to us. That's enough effort.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic. We have amazing, amazing fans, with all the art and crazy stuff that you guys do. It's incredible.
It's very touching.
Yes, very touching. It's lonely here in Wii Studios, so it's good to know that there are people out there.
Everybody else is at the bus stop.
That's
apparently.
right. Yeah, it is. I can get my buddy Hemus to come in and do
No.
cut all this.
The elephants are blocking the door.
Oh, that's too bad.
Submit something. Just submit it through
wepodcast.com.
Yeah.
Just go to the Summer of Fans page. It basically just takes you to our email address, which is where you send it. So on that note, send your cut all this submissions in, and we are going to take it away with our most recent one from our buddy Spirit, who tweets at us a lot and is a good listener of the show. He wrote a little fan fiction story about Jack and I, which is really interesting.
Apparently, if you want to see the prequel introduction to this thing, read the comments.
Yes, I think it was the comments on the on episode 31 or maybe episode 30. So you can check that out and take it away, Spirit.
Hey guys, it's Spirit, and I'm here to tell you all a story. Dan and Jack kicked up sand as they sat in the desert of post-classic Simpsons. It had been a solid 5 years since they had started the podcast, and time had most certainly taken its toll. Whatever remained of their youth had slowly drained away, leaving the two of them shriveled shells of their former Brooklynite glory. They didn't have guests anymore. No one could find them in the desert. They couldn't take requests. There was no way to message them. Wii Studios' once ornate golden walls and diamond recording equipment had deteriorated to a pair of Pringles cans tipped with pipe cleaners and a stool made from the severed head of Dan Hadalic. They even finished off the last of their treasured store of Popeye's chicken a whole 6 months ago. Yet these changes did not matter to them. Dan and Jack had long ago given up on bringing their podcast to the people. What was once a hobby had become an effort of intense pride, an obligation of the will, an obligation that would lead to their inevitable demise. One day, Dan and Jack watched an episode where Homer got a new job. There was no laughter. There was no life. There was not a single drop of a decent joke to keep them alive in this horrid desert landscape. As Lisa talked about something she believed in, the two hopeless souls that once espoused the teachings of Groupix saw something. It was a background gag that was kind of cute. And so they laughed. They laughed for a very long time. They laughed until their bodies dried out completely. And that, as was once said by a rather decent television program, was the end of that chapter. And now that you know the end, loyal listener, please, for the sake of Dan and Jack's legacy, cut all this.